Okay, so now we're gonna move forward in this section. So we're gonna talk about the positive, the negative, and the edge case. So we're gonna start off with the positive first. So if you're new to this channel and you would like to follow along with the curriculum, the link is in the description. It's free. So let's get into it. So we've already laid the groundwork right here for our is palindrome. And this is the actual test that we want to write. Now remember, we are requiring it. So one of the things I want you to make sure you understand, this is a way of understanding what we're doing. We may do this, we're going to do this differently when we get over into React. So make sure you understand what this is doing. And remember, this is our variable that we're storing it in. So that means we want to get access to this path right here, because this is a path. Remember, these two dots / palindrome JS, we want to go up two directories, come out of this directory, go up one to be able to get to the file we're looking for. That's what the dot means. So positive and negative test cases. The positive cases, we'll start with the positive and negative tests for is palindrome. Some positive tests have inputs. One A character, for A character, A character, race car. That's the string, right? Now, calling is palindrome with these inputs should return true in each case. Notice that these tests are as simple as possible. Keeping test inputs simple will still while still covering your desired test cases will make it easier to fix a bug in the event that a unit test fails. So here, let's test these inputs to test palindrome.test.js. You should have already created this directory and created this file right here. Now remember, this is what we're starting off with. This is the boilerplate. We have the describe, we're passing in a string and to describe what the test is going to do. And then this is the function that's going to handle all the test cases. Now we notice here we have 4 test cases. This is what the example that we gave you. And this is how we write those test cases. Where testing should return true for a single letter. Here's the function. Here's the expect is palindrome. Now notice it should return true for a single letter to be true. So we're just passing in the Boolean true. Then we write a use case for 3 letters. And then it says should return for a single letter repeated. Notice that it's descriptive. AAA, it's the same letter. So it's a single letter, but repeated. We said 3 times, but it can repeat more than 3 times. But there's a pattern. We just want to test for the pattern. Then we have the next test should return true for a simple palindrome, which is the function expected palindrome ABA to be true. And then it should return true for a longer palindrome. Expected is palindrome race car. These are all strings to be true. Note the clear test case descriptions. For example, should return true for a single letter repeated, which will help us easily identify the expected behavior of our code later. After adding the positive tests to your file, run them to make sure that they all pass using the command npm test. Go right ahead and play around with this code. Make sure that it's working. The negative test case. For is palindrome, some negative tests have inputs. AB, launch code, ABA with a capital A, so many dynamos. That's a longer string with spaces. Notice the spaces in between, but it's still a collection of characters inside of the string. Calling is palindrome with these inputs should return false in each case. The last 2 of these negative tests deserve a bit more discussion. When writing is palindrome function, initially we made 2 important decisions. Case should be considered and white space should be considered. And this is why we have the negative case, because we have case sensitive here, and also we have spaces. Now, the definition of a palindrome differs sometimes on these two matters, so it's important to test them. Testing with input AB capital A ensures that case is considered, since the lowercase version of the string ABA is a palindrome. Testing with so many dynamos ensures that white space is considered, since the version of this string with white spaces removed, so many dynamos is a palindrome. Note, it's important to isolate your test cases. For example, so many dynamos is a poor choice of input for a negative test, since it contains two characteristics that are being tested for: case and white space. If a test with this input failed, it would not be clear why it failed. Including specific tests that demonstrate how our is palindrome function behaves is in these situations helps make our code self-documenting. Someone can read our test and easily see that we do consider case and white space. Let's add some tests for the negative cases. Add these within the described call. So you notice here we're adding some more use case. Each one of these tests a use case. So go ahead and add these, but go line by line to understand what each one is saying and what it's expecting. Now run the test to make sure they pass. Your code now includes a set of tests that considers a wide variety of positive and negative use cases. Now, when you add all of this together, it seems like, man, we're writing a whole lot of tests just for these two functions right here, right? But hey, it's necessary. Once you get used to writing them, it will make sense to you. So let's go down to now we're going to talk about our edge cases. Now, recall our definition of edge case. An edge case is a test case that provides input at the extreme edge of what the unit should be able to handle. Edge cases can look very different from different units of code. Most of the examples we provided above dealt with numerical edge cases. However, edge cases can also be non-numeric. In the case of is palindrome, the most obvious edge case would be that of an empty string. This is the smallest possible string that we can use when calling is palindrome. Not only is it the smallest, but it is the essentially different from the next longest string. One has characters, one doesn't. Should the empty string be considered a palindrome, that decision is up to you or up to us, the programmers, and there is no right or wrong answer. In our case, we decided to take a very literal definition of the term palindrome by considering case and white space. In other words, our definition says that a string is a palindrome exactly when it is equals its reverse. Since the reverse of empty string is also an empty string, it makes sense to consider the empty string a palindrome. Let's add this test case to our spec. So here it is. So make sure you add that to your spec. Now run the test, which should all pass. You might think that another edge case is that of the longest possible palindrome, such as a palindrome would be as long as the longest possible string in JavaScript. This case is not worth considering for a couple of reasons. One, the length of the longest string can vary across different JavaScript implementations. Two, the most recent JavaScript specification states that the maximum allowed length of a string should be b to the 53rd power -1 characters. This is a lot of characters, and it is unrealistic to expect that our function will ever be given such a string. Toward a better testing workflow, in this case, we had a well-written function to write tests for. so it will straightforward to create tests that pass. Most situations will not be this simple. Your tests will often uncover bugs, forcing you to go back and update your code. That's okay. This is precisely what tests are for. The workflow for this situation is write code, write test, fix any bugs found while testing. The rest of the chapter focuses on a programming technique that allows you to completely eliminate the third step by reversing the order of the first two: write test, write code. And I'll explain a little bit more when we get to the next section. As you will soon learn, writing your test before the code is a great way to enhance your programming efficiency and quality. Okay, check your understanding. All right, we made it to the end of this section. So again, I hope that you have added the different tests for the use cases. Practice the positive and the negative use cases. Get familiar with them. And I know that it seems like it's a lot, but this is just going to help you understand how to write good functions. So remember, the more you do, the more you improve. See you in the next section.